Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Pony Fuckcast. My name is Shelldog. Today we're going to read a CLOP fiction. It is written by Zoo the Skunk, who is actually Anthony's artist. She's kind of cool. She's a cool cat. She writes some stories. We're going to read them for you. This one's called Twilight catches Spike having a wet dream. This one's going to be good. I'm really excited to read it.
It's going to be very wet.
So today I have with me Anthony Aguilar, Corpulent Brony, Friendship is Country, Licky. I have Mary J, or J Free once again, and Crazy Pony Man, who is scheduled on the show actually for an up-and-coming date. So look forward to that. We're just gonna take turns. Everybody's gonna kind of go down the line till they get sick of reading. So I think Corpulent's gonna start us off here with chapter 1.
The Discovery. It was a peaceful, cozy night here in Ponyville. The light of the moon was illuminating the empty streets. The majority of the windows were dark, with only a few remaining lights here and there. Those still up by this hour were either insomniacs or very, very busy. It seemed that the librarian from the Golden Oaks Library was mostly the latter, and possibly a little bit of the former. A faint, flickering light of a burning candle could still be seen through the balcony on the upper level of the library, a sign that the purple unicorn was once again staying up late.
Ooh, I wonder what she's doing.
Inside, funny you ask, inside, Twilight Sparkle was sitting by her desk, a quill encased in her unicorn magic, and was writing down what seemed to be another series of scientific observations and reports. She hummed softly to herself, occasionally shifting slightly on the comfy pillow she was sitting on. Nearby, her scaly assistant was fast asleep in his basket, snoring quietly and sometimes shifting around as well. After a long day of helping Twilight with various tasks in the library, Spike was more than happy to finally get some rest.
Living that life.
Twilight took a break from her writing to glance at him and watch him for a brief moment with a soft smile. She then looked at the perch that was usually occupied by her pet owl. Aloysius left a few hours ago to fly around and possibly get a late snack. Twilight looked through the open door that was leading to the balcony and observed the night sky for a moment, wondering if she'll manage to get a glance of him against the moon. She shook her head and sighed, returning to her task. She was satisfied with what she got. The new file of her research was just a few sentences short from being finished, and tomorrow it would be ready to be sent to her beloved teacher. Twilight smiled to herself, taking the moment to indulge herself in a little bit of self-praise over a job well done. Wonder how many times we say self in that sentence. As soon as the ink formed the dot at the end of the last sentence, she put the quill back into the inkwell and leaned back a bit to get a better look at her writings. 10 full pages of a complete report for Princess Celestia.
Nerd! Fucking nerd!
Twilight beamed with the glee of an A++ grade student, a wild smile adorning her face. She put the whole document inside one of the drawers to make sure nothing would happen to it. She then let out a big yawn and stretched a bit. It was time to go to bed and get some well-earned rest.
Your voice is so soft, Corpulent.
Just when she was about to get up and make her way to the comfy respite of her bed, her ear caught some mumbling coming from behind her. She turned her head and noticed Spike shifting quite a bit in his covers. She raised her eyebrow. Was he having a nightmare? Oh yes, Rarity, Spike said groggily. You are the most beautiful pony in Equestria.
Come and see.
You and me both.
Twilight relaxed and smiled a bit. Just another of Spike's Rarity dreams. Nothing unusual. She got up from her pillow and then set it on its usual resting place. Then she headed for her bed, which seemed to almost beam in a very inviting fashion from all the moonlight. But just when she was passing by Spike's basket, another one of his mumblings got her attention. Oh my, Rarity, are you sure about this? I wouldn't want you to do anything you don't want to do. Twilight stopped dead in her tracks. Was he... You really like it? Even if it's not, well, like a stallion's?
Holy sweet Celestia, he was! He was indeed Twilight.
So who wants to go next?
I want to hear Anthony go.
I need to go in a few more minutes. I'm still finishing the round.
Okay. How about I'll go? I guess I'll go.
Yeah.
Wide-eyed, she quickly turned her head towards her assistant. She gasped and covered her mouth with her front hooves. Right there, in part of the basket, where the lower part of Spike's body must have been, a rather noticeable tall budge was protruding from his bedsheets. Oh, Rarity! I didn't know you could, do such things with your tongue. Okay. Twilight looked at the spectacle in sheer disbelief and shock. Her eyes the size of plates and the pupils the size of pins. She took note of Spike being already a bit sweaty, and the way he kept shifting slightly, combined with his continuing progressively more and more obscure mumblings, made the whole situation all the more unbelievable to look at. Oh. She knew her assistant since she was a child. They got to know each other very well over the years, and by now, Twilight thought she knew pretty much everything about him, with no more surprises to be found in his small, scaly body. And yet, here it was, the one aspect of not only dragons, but pretty much any known animal in Equestria that, in retrospect, was so obvious and extremely important. One that somehow managed to avoid crossing her mind even once, even in the form of a short, vague suggestion at the end of her consciousness. She sat there for a good while, completely speechless, and simply observed the completely alien behavior of the one person in her life she thought she knew to a T. Mari, why don't you go?
Alright. Rarity, your hooves are like magic. She tried to recall the few times in her life when she attempted pursuing knowledge about these aspects of a pony's life. She realized that she never really paid much attention to this kind of stuff. When the class was studying biology, she always looked at everything from a purely technical, scientific standpoint. When they were having sex education, she was sick that day. When her dad tried to initiate the birds and the bees talk, she took it the device A goes into the device B way.
Beta!
Fucking nerd.
You fucking nerd!
Hey, come on.
She hasn't played with her twicock before? Come on.
Whatever.
The one time she actually looked at these things the emotional way was when she visited Rarity one afternoon for a nice friendly chat over some tea. Somehow the conversation eventually wandered into these areas, and Rarity, after learning to her shock that Twilight isn't particularly experienced in them, decided to show some of her more private collection.
That's interesting.
Yes, I can imagine what lays
Black
inside
Ogre
that.
35.
Twilight then spent the rest of that afternoon resembling the shade of a tomato, as Rarity kept showing her more and more meanders of how to, and in some extreme cases more, ponies can be intimate with each other. This was mostly limited to making their way through a book with lots of pictures, but Rarity had a few more things to show as well. All of the knowledge Twilight got that day was, up to this point, kept locked in that section of her mind, called Do Not Touch Unless Really Needed, for your own sanity. Great. And now all of that shameful knowledge kept resurfacing, and as Spike in the imagery, Rarity seemed to slowly check off various positions from the long list of various intimate activities to engage in. Holy fuck, she's a fucking nerd! Oh my god!
Hey.
Twilight realized to her own horror that she remembered the names of all the things that were doing.
Of course she did, because she's into it. She's like,
awesome.
Oh, I can never let anyone know I actually like this. It's so embarrassing. Oh.
Do not touch unless really needed. We at the Pony Fuckcast do not endorse this.
No, we do
Okay.
not. What about you, Pony Man? Why don't you go?
You might not be able to. Can you read?
Yeah, I can.
Are you following along?
Yeah, I have been for the longest. Okay. As time went on, she became a bit accustomed to the sight of, well, excited Spike, and the shock was slowly replaced with fascination on both an emotional and scientific level. She didn't really know
Look
anything.
at Crazy Pony Man the same way again.
She didn't really know anything about how dragons mate, let alone have a chance to witness them doing it. Come to think of it, she never saw two ponies doing it either. It was always just something she only looked at in a book. Therefore, she simply couldn't help but be curious. It was her first time seeing anyone doing anything intimate in real life, especially right in front of her. She slowly took her front hooves away from her mouth and put them to the ground. She then gasped and looked down. She realized, to her shock and embarrassment, that she got so excited over this sensory situation that she managed to make the ground extremely wet with her own body juice.
Her own bodily juices. Nice.
Here, there was so
Yes.
I am never coming back from this. Coming from her own chest. That was a mortifying feeling, but it was still tons better than that afternoon with Rarity, as she remembered just now.
So is Twilight like wanting to fuck Spike? I think that's what's gonna happen here.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
It
Kinda
seems
turned
like it's
on.
going that way.
Yeah, I'd come inside.
You come inside
I-
Spike?
Yeah, I'd come inside.
I'd come inside Twilight.
Spike is
Oh,
best pony.
goodness.
Best. Only
You all wanted
2011
the
bronies
podcast,
remember
you're getting it.
Spike is best pony.
All right. Why don't you go, Corp?
During her educational session with the book, Twilight managed to make a huge stain on the sofa they were sitting on,
Ugh, that's
to
nasty.
the point that it was dripping onto the ground. Probably only Rarity's good manners prevented her from commenting on it, although Twilight swore she could remember Rarity first looking aghast at the sofa, only to put on a hopefully comforting smile seconds later. Come to think of it, Twilight could also remember that when she was finally leaving the boutique, she could hear Rarity shouting from the inside, "Sweetie pal, can you please bring me a towel and some air freshener?"
That's disgusting. Holy fuck.
Well, Hawk.
That's like asking my little brother, "Hey man, you wanna bring a mop in here?" And
Maybe
Twilight.
a little wet rag.
Twilight brought her attention back to Spike. Judging from his mumblings, he and the imaginary Rarity were at this point in the middle of something involving lots of rope and leather
God
oh,
damn
what?
it.
and whips. Twilight winced at the aspect. There were various interesting things she saw in that fateful book, but this category of kinky didn't lie among the things she personally found appealing.
Zoo the Skunk, if you're listening, now this is a really good look into your mind. And damn girl, you should like call me. Call me! Sounds good.
She turned her attention again to the Mount Stiff, which towered over the surrounding landscape just the same way it did when she saw it first. She licked her lips shakily. Sweat was dripping from her forehead, and she was breathing deeply. She felt an urge.
She had to climb Mount Stiff.
She never got a chance to do anything intimate, ever. She seldom even thought about it,
Mhm.
and everything she knew about it came from books alone.
Expedition Stiff.
And here it was, a brand new unexplored area. A whole mountain to examine in detail, which arose in the middle of a previously familiar terrain. Her eye twitched. She wanted to explore it. Okay.
How about Licky? Are you paying attention?
Nope, but I can't right now.
Alright, that's fine. She raised her hoof to her mouth again, only subconsciously taking note of the intense smell she could feel coming from it, as a result of being in contact with her bodily fluids. No, she can't do that. That's Spike, her #1 assistant. Still a baby dragon. Even if by pony standards, he should be considered an adult at this point. He's like a brother to her. Sometimes almost a son.
Damn, those babies are freaky.
She wouldn't do that with her own son, right?
Nah. Never.
Nah, Twilight's a good girl. She ain't gonna do it.
No.
I wouldn't be so
Apparently-
sure about that.
Apparently, you've never read a hentai before.
No, I've watched them. I don't read hentai.
Yeah.
Well, to get one like this, you'd have to read it.
Right.
She wants to rub Spike's chin chin.
She kept sitting there, watching the inviting mountain in an almost hypnotized state while Spike kept asking Rarity to punish him harder for being such a bad dragon.
Plug for Bad Dragon.
Yeah, I was.
Shout out to Brixie! Twilight licked her lips again.
Ooh,
It wouldn't
she's
hurt
good.
to just look at it, right?
No, it wouldn't, Twilight.
Keep,
It's her research.
keep rationalizing
Research.
that, yeah. Slowly, Twilight tried to raise from the spot she was sitting at for the past few minutes. She gasped when she felt her, well, moist hindquarters get in contact with the chilly breeze from the open balcony. She turned her head to look at the aforementioned balcony, and the glow of her magic illuminated the room briefly as the doors were closed silently. She was too worked up at the moment to think about how Owlicious will get back into the library later on. There were more pressing matters on her mind at the moment. She then slowly made her way around the basket, stopping only when she was facing both the fascinating bulge in Spike's head. She sat down, returning to her act of watching the former in silent awe. She wasn't paying much attention to what Spike was saying at this point. From what little made its way into her subconscious, she figured that Spike's scaly rear must be crimson red at this point. Go ahead, Mari.
She sat there for a while in silence. She tapped her front hooves against each other nervously, an anxious frown making its way onto her face. This is really out of character for Twilight. She really should be taking notes on
What are you, a fucking brony analyst?
Shut the fuck up, holy
Should be taking notes about this. It'll be just a glance, she reasoned. No big deal. But it's Spike. It would be wrong. What right do I have to look at it without his permission? But then she remembered. Almost every pony in Ponyville walks around naked. By this point, Spike probably saw the genitals of half the population of the city. He must have seen her genitals so many times over that he could probably draw a perfect picture of them from his memory alone. It's only fair that she gets to see his genitals at least once too. But did he ever see anyone's genitals while they were aroused? She could feel the sweat dripping from her, and a new stain of her liquid excitement forming beneath her. She licked her lips once again, her gaze locked on the bulge. So inviting. Having finally made a decision, she slowly leaned forward. She then encased the closest border of the bed sheets with her magic, and after taking a deep breath, started raising it up. She saw Spike's tail, then his feet, knees, and she let go of the bed sheets and looked away wide-eyed, so fast that she felt a sharp pain in her neck. With a wince and a quiet ow, she started rubbing it, hissing in pain. She then looked again at Spike, who was still busy indulging in about every perversion she could think of. She got a thought that if the real Rarity heard all of these mumblings, she would... Well, Twilight didn't really know what Rarity would do, but she had a feeling that it would definitely be interesting.
Ooh, Pony Man, here we go.
I'm actually.
This one?
I can
Okay,
do it.
go ahead.
Oh, Anthony, go ahead, yeah.
I had to find the spot.
She
Spot?
sighed.
Yeah, I see it. She sighed. Okay, let's try this again. I don't want to do this.
Do it, keep going.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I have to do this.
I do. Okay, let's try this again slowly. She once again activated her magic to grab it.
Anthony's like a little turned on. He's like, oh, I can't do this.
I can't do it seriously. She once again activated her magic to grab the sheets very carefully.
Activate your magic.
Yeah. I'm going to start that over again one more time. Ah. Okay. She once again activated to grab the sheets. Very carefully this time, she started lifting them. She could feel her heart pounding with every centimeter. Not that I would ever know what the fuck a centimeter is. The aura,
Metric, am I right?
Yeah, right.
What's the deal with that?
Yeah, that just killed my boner.
Increments of 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10.
Shit, I just lost my place. Oh shit, I'm not kidding,
She
dude.
could feel her heart pounding with every centimeter. The already familiar sight of Spike's lower body started unveiling itself. First the tail, then the legs, and then she saw it. She stopped dead in her tracks. Only a slight part was visible at the moment, but she could already see how it was connected to Spike's body. As she knew well, there were bright green plates across Spike's entire belly, starting with his chin and going all the way to the upside of his tail. On the lower part of his belly, more or less in the area of the crotch, two of the plates were sliding upwards and downwards, revealing a fleshy area behind them. From there, the thing was coming out and proudly towering over the surroundings, akin to a volcano that was ready to erupt at any moment.
Oh god.
Twilight bit her lip. A sweat drop ran down her nose. Her heart was pounding constantly, and her nether regions were leaking like a broken faucet. She then got the courage to continue going upwards. Holy sweet Celestia. She finally got it completely uncovered, and in the moment of slack-jawed awe, she dropped the bedsheets, letting them land under the upper side of Spike's body, and keeping the thing perfectly visible to the world. She stared at it in complete silence, only interrupted by Spike's continuing mumblings. It's almost as long as his leg, she thought. Her eyes once again the size of plates. It's almost as long as his leg.
So like 2 inches?
No. Bro.
Shout out to Vita.
Why don't you go, Corpulent? Or Ponyman, you're up.
Okay, before I do this, just one thing. I don't want anybody messaging me after this. I don't want any messages from random people on the internet.
You won't, don't worry.
I'll have
Yeah,
you
don't
know
worry.
that Crazy Pony Man has a very sensual voice, so
Yes.
anyone will give you
Yeah.
his contact details.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll let you clop in peace.
Well, overall, quite similar to what an average stallion had in stock, Spike's member had quite a few notable differences, which were immediately picked up by her scientific mind. No ring in the middle of the shaft, numerous small bumps across its length, which reminded Twilight of some of the toys Rarity had shown her. The top lacking the cavity that divides one side in half. No visible child factories. Also, it was very, very pink. Not Pinkie Pie pink, the other kind of pink. She licked her lips. Spike took this exact moment to go back to his act of shifting around slightly. This caused his prize to wobble a bit with each movement. Twilight watched this little dance, completely hypnotized. Down below, what was previously a small stream now turned into a waterfall.
How does Spike not notice that she's like watching him and looming over him right now? Like,
Oh, he
He's
knows.
having an awesome rarity dream.
still, man.
Oh, he knows. He knows what he's doing. Bad dream.
Go ahead, Corp.
Her eye twitched. I must touch it, she thought. Slowly, as if trying not to scare a shy animal, she raised her hoof, taking note of the fact that by this point, she was sitting in the middle of a puddle, even bigger than the previous one, and moved it towards the thing.
Isn't she getting dehydrated at this point?
Closer. Twilight gasped and moved her hoof away in surprise. It was warm, very warm. After calming down a bit, with her heart still pounding like crazy, she once again moved her hoof towards it, and eventually, she touched it for the second time. She couldn't help it but get a goofy smile on her face when she felt the warm, stiff shaft against her soft hoof. It was indeed warm. It was the kind of warmth that a towel would have. After lying on a furnace for a bit and then cooling down a little, it was an inviting kind of warmth. She liked that warmth. Without really thinking about it, she started slowly rubbing the shaft. She bit her lip, feeling an indescribable happiness inside herself that was making her smile become goofier and goofier with each passing second. She could feel that, although the member was mostly smooth, the little bumps across its length were adding something incredible to the already ecstatic concoction. Her mind reached a kind of a simple-minded bliss. But then, something brought her back to the planet Equestria. Oh yes, Rarity. I do love it when you rub it. Please don't stop. Twilight stopped briefly. She blinked a few times. And then, a devilish smile adorned her lips.
Dun dun dun!
I bet Sheldon's just gonna get really lazy in editing the video, get handed off to Corp, and Corp's just going to go into editing and replacing every time Sheldon says Spike with corpulent brony.
I wouldn't be surprised. Since you're so fucking cheeky, why don't you start reading?
Okay. She started rubbing the shaft even faster than before. This caused Spike to moan, and she realized it wasn't the sleepy, groggy kind of moans from before, but instead a genuine moan of pleasure. This stimulated her ego in just the same way a word of approval from Princess Celestia would.
Beta! Beta!
Who's gonna get an A+ on this test?
A feeling of doing something right and feeling important because of it. And she liked that feeling. I'm sorry guys, I'm a little sick, so that's why I'm like, whatever.
Shut up and go back to work. Nobody wants to hear your bullshit.
She leaned closer and brought her second hoof to the shaft, starting to stroke the thing up and down. Not too fast, but not too slow either. The resulting moans that came from her dragon assistant made her ego grow to a size that would put the great and powerful Trixie to shame. Insert air horn here. Each passing second made her feel as if something that was previously restraining her all her life was right now falling to pieces. It made her feel free. It made her feel like a bad girl. One that does something she isn't supposed to, but doesn't care in the slightest. And she loved that feeling. Now really put in a playful mood, she felt that just rubbing the thing wasn't enough. She needed to do it something else. Something even badder than before. And really put the show into motion. She pondered for a moment while continuing to stroke the member. And then she got an idea. An awful idea. She got a wonderful, awful idea. You're a mean one.
Mr. Grinch. You want to suck the cock?
Alright. With a wide smile on her face that would make a demon from Tartarus run away screaming, she leaned in even closer to the thing, holding it tightly, but not too tightly. In her hooves, she stopped where her muzzle was mere inches away from it. She let her tongue out of her lips, and then, almost getting high on the magic of the moment, she touched the member with it, very slowly, in what she thought was an unspeakable act of pure, unforgivable decadence. She slid her tongue across the entire length of the shaft. Ah! Spike moaned loudly, across, almost arching his back in half. Twilight moved her mouth a few inches away. A wide, devilish smile once again adorned her face. That was it. At this moment, everything else melted away, leaving only a desire to get as much of such loud, primal approval as possible. She was a star student, and she was going to get an A++ grade in this exam as well. And the examiner was going to love it.
want to be the examiner.
With this massive injection of courage, she once again...
My fucking headset came out for a second there. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, oh dear God.
With this massive injection of courage, she once again let her tongue out and touched the shaft with it, licking it the same way like before, but this time deciding to slide up and down with it. The accompanying moans of pleasure from her number one assistant made her almost drunk with pride. The little bumps on the shaft were adding an amazing, if a little surreal, feeling that made her all the more willing to give this exam her best performance yet. The member, to her minor surprise, tasted a bit like strawberries. That's kind of weird. This reminded her that, at least according to Rarity's book, stallion ones don't have a taste at all, maybe being a bit salty at best. Were dragons unique in that regard, or was Spike doing something weird with it earlier that day?
Yeah.
Then she tried moving up and giving to the top of the member some love as well. As she used the tip of her tongue to make circles around the glands, Spike seemed to be nearly having a seizure. Oh my god! Twilight, I didn't know you're so good at sucking dick.
When
Oh, yeah.
fucking Corpulent becomes the examiner, when he finishes,
Yeah.
he's gonna be like, "What do you think? What did you think? Yeah, I'd give you a slight to decent 6.
I could just literally picture Corpulent.
It was
on, like,
okay.
camera,
I'm not really
smoking
feeling
a cigarette at the end
You like-
of this.
You need more practice.
I ain't gonna write home about it, baby.
light to decent 6. What should I review next? Did you love it? Did you hate it?
When you were saying like was Spike doing something weird with it earlier today, all I could think of was like, why does the Smucker taste weird? It was on my tongue.
Hey Sheldon, just one thing.
Yeah, what?
When you said this is weird, I'm like, what do you think? What do you think? We're reading a freaking CLOP FIC, and this is weird to you, the strawberries?
No,
part?
the story. Yeah, well, yeah, whose dick tastes like strawberries, unless you have a
Mine-
strawberry flavored
mine,
condom on.
You
Give me a
should
break.
call me and add me on
Oh,
Skype if you want to
yes.
taste
Just
penis
saying,
strawberries.
blackberries.
Rarity.
Blackberries.
All right, let's
Love you
keep this
so
moving. Who's next? Ponyman.
Okay. Twilight felt giddy inside.
No, one up.
Okay. Oh yes. Oh yes. Rarity, I love you so much.
A+ star performance right there, folks.
Salad strength 10 out of 10.
I practice. Twilight felt giddy inside. Such simple actions on her part, and yet they were giving both sides so much delight. She then took her tongue away to glance at the member. Why limit yourself? Said a voice in her head. And with that thought, she dived right into it, in one sudden movement engulfing the member completely with her mouth. She kept her eyes closed for a moment, taking the time to get herself accustomed with this amazing feeling. It's so warm. Slowly savoring this moment, she started sliding back up. She could feel the bumps brushing against her lips and her tongue while she did it. This combined the loud moans Spike let out and the nearly intoxicating taste of strawberries made Twilight become completely lost in the act.
Hey, hits blunt. If Twilight stays on Spike's dick forever, and Spike's dick tastes like strawberries, does that mean she's in strawberry fields forever?
Oh gosh.
Evil Knievel couldn't make a jump like that. Holy shit.
I thought you were gonna make a strawberry shortcake joke.
Oh god.
That would have been something.
Go ahead, Corpulent.
When she reached the glands, she started moving down again, taking note of the different, but just as amazing feeling of the bumps going back in. All the while, Spike kept letting out another series of moans. When she reached the bottom, she didn't waste any time and started moving back up, this time faster, and then down again, even faster than before, and up, and down, 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 and suddenly, instead of a moan, she heard a loud gasp. Both she and her heart stopped in an instant. Oh no. Oh no. With an ice block inside her chest, she very, very slowly looked up. Spike was awake, and he was looking wide-eyed straight at her.
Shit, man. Damn.
And
Then he said, "Hey, Toots, you gonna keep going or what?"
And due to the fact that he wasn't particularly tall, his face was at best 10 centimeters away from hers. What's a centimeter, shit? Complete silence. The two were simply staring at each other speechlessly, without even moving a muscle. Some chirping crickets could be heard in the distance. After what seemed like an eternity, Spike slowly looked down. Twilight then realized, to her pure horror, that she was still holding his penis in her mouth.
Dun, dun, dun.
It was an accident.
No.
Wait. Corbelan. I want a sound file of just you saying that part.
Well, Sheldon's recording.
He's like with his penis in her mouth, she moaned, I can explain.
It was an accident.
No, I want that sound file so I can play it in the riff right in the middle of a call.
Re-record that
And that-
part.
Good. And that Spike could see from very, very close her holding his penis in her mouth. And that she was holding it with both of her front hooves. And that she's leaning with her entire body over it. And that there is, he leaned to the right to see it better, a huge puddle underneath her, which was giving out, she just realized, a very strong smell.
Cherries.
Twilight could feel a tear forming in her eye. Being thrown into a dungeon in the Being thrown into a dungeon in the place you were banished to would be way too kind. Spike looked at her again, then at his penis, then back at her, then back at his penis, then back at her.
Look at your man.
He bit his lip and slowly scratched his head.
So, he started
he's-
and then shrugged. Continue, please?
Twilight then said, "Well, bang, okay?"
All right, that was part 1 of chapter 1, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Is that it?
Yeah,
I mean, that's one page. That's one page of the 4.
It
In
was
this chapter.
one. That was
That's
one.
1/4. That's 1/4 of the story.
Wait,
Oh
there's
my
more of it? I don't
goodness.
see any more. Where's the other stuff?
Look at the
4
page
pages. There's
numbers.
4 pages.
Look at the page numbers under the ratings.
Oh my goodness, what did they do?
Oh my god.
Right, so we're gonna end it here. We're gonna do this chapter into 4 parts because
And so we're gonna let you guys run out and get a new bottle of hand lotion and some new wipes.
Yeah, we're gonna let you take a
you guys have some time to grab some new lotion and
Corpulen's gonna need a cigarette.
and Kleenex and you know,
So we can re-edit
I'm sure Corpulent is too excited to keep going, so we're gonna end it here.
Yeah.
And
That's all the story. That's the whole thing.
I'm
No,
gonna go dunk my head in Clorox.
Yeah, it is the whole story.
Really?
no, it's not.
Yes. There's no more story. The 1, 2, 3, 4 is
Oh
the
yeah,
comments.
that's the comments. That is all of chapter
Oh.
1. My mistake, Zoo the Skunk. Thank you so much for listening, guys. This has been the Pony Fuckcast CLOP FIC reading number 3. If you liked what you read, make sure you hit that, or if you liked what you heard, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And check out these fine people in the call. Also, the annotations are popping as I speak. Pop, 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 pop. Go listen to them. Go check them out. Thanks so much for joining me and have a wonderful night.